All right, the distance between us, chapter 19. And share. I am going to mute you guys. Boom. Okay, chapter 19. I'm hoping, I don't know how to scroll down though. Remember, I had this problem last time.
Can we draw while you're reading?
Well, yeah, because normally you're focused and wanting to hear the story, right? Okay, chapter 19. A few weeks after getting back from Mexico, or you could follow along with the book and make you a better reader. A few weeks after getting back from Mexico, Mago said Gabby and I are looking for an apartment together. Really? I asked, looking away from the TV where I was watching Anne of Green Gables on the Disney Channel. You aren't leaving me, are you? She shook her head and threw a pillow at me. How can you think that? Of course I'll take you with me. We can leave here and finally be in a place where we can be happy. I threw the pillow back at her so she wouldn't see how relieved I was. I knew she had forgiven me for the fight between us in Mexico. She had said she understood, but for a second, I had thought she was going to tell me she was leaving without me. I turned back to the TV and continued to follow Anne Shirley on her adventures. I wanted to be like Anne, strong, adventurous, pretty, and smart. I wanted to have her imagination and her way with words, but most of all, I wanted to live in a beautiful place like she did. Anne had lost her parents when she was a baby, and as a little orphan, her childhood had been very difficult. But Anne got lucky when she was adopted by people who let her be who she wanted to be, who loved her and praised her for her talents, and who were not afraid to tell her they were proud of her. Sometimes I imagined getting adopted too, by someone who would be proud of my accomplishments, like my latest one, being chosen to be the assistant drum major of Franklin's marching band. I designed the field formations to the music Mr. Kwan had chosen for us to learn. I'd led the band to place second in a competition held at Wilson High School. I'd led the band at the Highland Park Christmas Parade on Figueroa Street. Even though the parade route was only a 10-minute walk from my house, my father hadn't come to see me march. I was jealous of Anne because, unlike me, she had people who noticed, even her smallest accomplishments. The weeks passed with no news about an apartment. That spring semester, I enrolled in track and field. I didn't really like running, but Mago did. On the weekends, we would go to Franklin to jog around the football field, and she'd lead me in the dust. I thought that if I practiced every day at school, I would get faster so I could keep up with my sister. So far, track and field hadn't made me faster, but it had gotten me a boyfriend. Remember, she's older now. She's not a kid. I think she's a senior, right?
How old is she? And
His name was Steve, and he had hazel eyes and dimples in his cheeks. If Mago rented an apartment too far from Franklin, I knew I'd have to transfer and never see Steve or Franklin again. Never mind that I was in my last semester there. I'd follow my Mago to the end of the earth if I had to. I'd give up Steve no matter how cute he was. A week later, while we were getting ready for bed, Mago said she and Gabby had found an apartment in La Habra. I didn't know where that was and how far from school it was, but before I could tell her that anywhere was fine with me, she said, Nena, I won't be able to take you with me. I sat down on my bed and looked down at my feet, not knowing what to say. I thought about my quinceanera, about receiving Holy Communion when I wasn't supposed to. Here it is, Judgment Day. Please don't take away my Mago. God, punish me in another way if you must, but don't take her from me. Why? Was all I managed to say. The manager doesn't allow extra people in the apartment. Gabby already has her son, And her aunt is also going to be living with us to babysit. With me, that makes 4. But I could share a room with you, just like we've always done. I know, but they won't allow more than 4 people in the apartment. She stood up from her bed and came to sit with me. Besides, Nana, you have 2.5 months to go before you finish high school. It wouldn't be right to pull you out now and transfer you to another school. I'm sorry, Nana. I really wanted to take you with me. Then stay, I said, clutching her hand. Like you said, I'm almost done with school. In June, I could start looking for a job and we can rent a place together. She shook her head. I can't stand being here anymore. I feel that I'm going to go crazy. I want to live my life in peace. Do what I want without having to explain anything to anyone. I thought about her new boyfriend, Victor, whom she'd met at work. I knew she hated that Poppy didn't let her go out much. Now that Carlos was married and had left home, Poppy had been even more vigilant with us girls. I knew Victor was one of the reasons why Mago was so desperate to get out. Like Carlos, she was also in love too, in love to put up with our father's restrictions and house rules. But how could she not wait for me to graduate so we could leave together? The sentence didn't make sense to me. She put her arm around me, and we stayed like that for a long time. She didn't say when she was leaving, and I didn't ask. I kept hoping that maybe, just maybe, things would change. A few days later, I knew it was for real when Mago broke the news to Poppy. You're such an ungrateful daughter, he yelled. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me. He said she just wanted to be able to go out with as many men as she wanted to without telling her what's right or wrong. He banged his fists on the table and stood up. If you leave this house, you'll be dead to me. I won't ever want to see you again. Mago didn't say anything. We stayed there at the kitchen table long after Poppy had left. Stay with us, Mago. I said, grabbing her hand. Stay with me. Every day, I'd come home from school wondering if that was the day when she'd leave. But in the evening, Mago would come home like she always had. Poppy didn't talk to her, but by the second week, it was as if nothing had happened. Mago didn't bring up the subject anymore, and Poppy ended the silent treatment. All of us even went out to dinner at Poppy's favorite restaurant, La Perla, in East LA, when I received the best news ever. I had been accepted to UC Irvine, so that's a big college in California. I'm so proud of you, Nana, Maga said to me, reaching to grab my hand from across the restaurant table. Me too, Carlos said. Poppy didn't say anything like that, but the fact that he had taken us to his favorite restaurant said a lot, especially because he hardly ever took us anywhere. We sat there and listened to the mariachi, and I sang along with them. Poppy sang along too. Volver, Volver. I liked his smile, and I smiled too. Nothing made him happier than to listen to the songs of Vincent Fernandez. Or Vicente. I think it's Vicente Fernandez. Mago, Carlos, and I sang along, and I got lost in the beauty of the murals at La Perla. This was how I wanted my family to be. Always together.
Wait, what is verb? Miss Mindy, can you repeat that? It's because my internet is like this.
Which part do you need me to repeat, sweetie? How far back do you need me to repeat? I told you she went to college. You got that, right? You're on mute, so I don't know where to go.
Carla, you're muted. Oh. How long did it, like, Is that college big that she had, or
Yeah, it's
was
a really
it?
big deal. Yeah, it's a big college. It's a big deal that she got accepted. So do you need me to start after that college part?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so proud of you, Nana, Mago said to me, reaching to grab my hand from across the restaurant table. Me too, Carlos said. Poppy didn't say anything like that, but the fact that he had taken us to his favorite restaurant said a lot, especially because he hardly ever took us anywhere. We sat there and listened to the mariachi, and I sang along with them. Poppy sang along too. Volver, Volver. I looked I looked at his smile and I smiled too. Nothing made him happier than to listen to the songs of Vicente Fernandez. Mago, Carlos, and I sang along, and I got lost in the beauty of the murals at La Perla. This was how I wanted my family to be, always together. 2 days later, I came home to an empty bedroom. All of my sister's clothes were gone, all except for a pair of overall shorts I had often borrowed from her. A farewell present? I dropped onto her bed and sat there for a long time. I couldn't believe she'd left without telling me goodbye. Mommy had left with the wrestler without saying goodbye, too. Just like our mother, Mago, hadn't wanted to see my tears. Maybe she thought it was better this way. But I didn't think coming home to an empty closet was better than saying goodbye and watching her go out the door. Uh-oh. Ah! Sorry, guys. Where'd it go?
I don't know. It's chapter 19.
I just had a bird fly. Oh, there we go. A bird flew in my room and flew back out. Okay.
We're on chapter 19,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now?
Yes.
Oh. Nahora and Mike did not eat lunch.
She never.
Nahora, why do you never eat lunch?
Okay, let me finish the book.
Okay.
Okay, I heard the door open and close. My father was home, and I'd not done my chores. I rushed to the kitchen to wash the dishes. My hands shook as I picked them up to lather them. My eyes burned from crying. He came into the kitchen and grabbed a beer, not saying anything to me. I was used to him ignoring me. And honestly, I preferred that to when he did pay attention because it was only to insult me or reprimand me for something or other. But that day, I knew I had to break the silence. I just didn't know how to tell him Mago was gone. I waited until he took a drink from his beer, and right before he disappeared into his room, I blurted out the news. Mago has left, I said. What? He turned to look at me. I shut off the faucet and dried my hands. She's gone. He headed to my bedroom and stood there in the middle, just like I had done earlier. He looked at the empty closet, the empty dresser drawers, and Mago's posters on the wall, the only reminder that she had once lived there. You're not allowed to see your sister anymore, he said. If she wants to leave, so be it. But you, he said, as he pointed a finger at me, will have nothing to do with her. What did he mean by that? I didn't understand. After everything I've done for her, this is how she repays me, he asked. I stood frozen in place. My fear kept my mouth shut. If she wants to go and live in a corrupted life, then she's dead to me, he said. He talked about Carlos, about how disappointed he was in him, and now Mago. He looked at me and shook his head. He looked at me as if I had disappointed him too, though I was still there with him. I wanted to tell him I'd be different, that I'd seen with my own eyes the poverty he had helped us escape. I'd seen with my own eyes the reason he had been such a tyrant about school. I wanted to tell him I'd do what Mago and Carlos hadn't been able to do. I would go to UC Irvine and get my degree. I would be somebody he could be proud of. But he said to me, you can forget about going to that university. You're going to be a failure too, just like them, so don't even bother. Then he walked away. No, Poppy, please, I begged, but he slammed his bedroom door shut. I returned to my room, a room that was now only mine. He wasn't serious, I told myself. He's just angry with Margot and will change his mind tomorrow. He knows how important this is for me, for the family. He'll let me go. I walked to my sister's twin bed, got under the covers, and buried my nose in the pillow, trying to drown myself in her favorite scent, Beautiful by Estee Lauder. I thought about Abuelita Chinta, my mother, and now my sister. The void inside me became bigger and bigger as I realized that the woman I loved most were far from me. What do you guys think?
Feel bad for Raina.
Me too.
I feel really bad for Raina because now she's gonna be the only child that lives there.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'll be happy because, I mean, if she gets out of university, well, she'll impress her dad, and that would be her dream. Because in part of the book, she was like, I'm gonna be the first one to impress my dad, her dad. And, well, she's going to accomplish her dreams. That's why I literally heard that.
She'd be the first one to go to college in her family.
Yeah.
Hopefully she does make it right, Nahora and Mike, that didn't eat lunch. I'm surprised it says it all on my screen. It never says long sentences.
Oh, it does say Nahora and Mike did not eat lunch on my screen too.
Me too.
I ate
I'm
lunch.
going to stop recording us because we're done talking about the book, right?
Okay.